issue
Adam
with
and Eve bring
is
sin
that
into the
kids go
world.
to heaven.
Kids don't sin. I've been over this like 8
Wait, okay,
times.
that's fine. So why didn't God just make everyone in heaven?
Because at one point there was sin in that happened. So I mean, at one point you probably would have just sinned anyways and not chose him.
Oh, okay, but how do you know that that's not just going to be true of all the kids who went to heaven?
I mean, it's not, but
Perfect. Awesome concession.
God
W.
made
W concession. Awesome. So your point is
God made.
irrelevant. Phenomenal.
How is my point irrelevant?
Yeah, because you just said
I
that.
was
So
getting
your
there.
basis was saying that God can't make everyone in heaven because at some point in your life you probably would have sinned, not realizing that
Yeah.
that applies equally to all the kids in heaven, which means that you can't appeal to this when it's not true of all the kids in heaven.
Okay.
Okay. Out of arguments again.
Out of arguments again. That's crazy.
Do you have anything else for me, or should I move on to the
I mean,
next
I
guest?
pretty much have. We're just going in circles. I pretty much have already told you everything else. What I've thought.
That's fine, and I explained why all of your answers were insufficient.
Okay. How so?
You really want to learn this lesson one more time? I've already demonstrated this in front of everyone, that you can't give me a single reason, a single thing that God values, such that he wouldn't just make all of us in heaven. That's also true of all the kids in heaven.
So we could
At
make
first
our
you
own
said,
choices.
free will and free choices, but that's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be true because all the kids in heaven didn't have the free choice to arrive in heaven.
I mean, we don't get that choice. Not everybody gets the same choices.
And is
It's
that
like
fair?
how- No, life isn't fair. I didn't say
Okay,
God is
and who
unfair.
made it such that we don't all get the same choices?
God.
Oh,
He gave
okay.
us a
So
tree.
so God made it unfair. So then God is unfair.
God
If
did
God's
not make
unfair,
it
then God's
unfair.
also unjust.
God did not make it unfair. We had
But
our
wait,
own.
but I asked you who made it such that we don't have the same
God.
choices.
Okay, look. God made a tree, right? Right?
I'm familiar with the Adam and Eve story. This isn't going to help you out in any way, shape, or form.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. Wait, prove it. Prove that God made a tree.
It says it in the Bible.
Yeah,
What
prove
is-
that the Bible's true.
We're following a myth, I guess.
Prove that the Bible's true.
Prove that the Bible is true. I mean, did you not look this up for the past year where you were studying?
I
the
know the
Bible
Bible
was
isn't
true?
true. I have like several reasons why it's not true.
Okay, why is it not true?
So because it's ahistorical. The flood didn't happen, for example.
Like, you realize that like the math adds up. If it rained for like that long, it would actually flood the earth, right?
Okay, so if the flood happened, how did the
No,
kangaroos
like-
get to Australia?
I don't know. I wasn't alive.
You have no idea.
That's such an like.
Okay,
how
wait.
would you know the answer?
If it flooded all life on Earth, then where did the trees come from?
They're like plants like revive themselves from like being soaked. You can like.
Wait, do you think plants do well if they're submerged over like
No,
a mile
but, like-
of water? Do you think that there's
No,
lots of
but-
plants
hold up,
in like
hold
the
up.
Marianas Trench? Do you think the
No,
average
but-
tree would survive conditions like that?
Oh my goodness, no! But I mean, there could have been millions of answers for that question you just asked. I mean,
Yeah,
God
so give
could have just
one.
brought back all the trees.
Oh, gotcha.
or,
So
like-
instead of having an actual explanation, your explanation is just God said abracadabra.
I don't know
Dreamy
the
Lotus,
actual
thank you
answer.
so
No
much.
one does. You don't know the actual answer.
Well,
either.
the actual answer is that
Like-
none of it happened. Didn't happen. That's the actual answer.
Saw that coming. The
Yeah.
actual answer is none of it happened. Yeah.
Yep, true. That is the actual answer. Yeah.
Nice job, man.
Correct.
You still never answered my question.
What's your question?
I asked you, why do you think God does not exist?
Oh, I mean, I did. First of all, you never answered, or you never asked me that. But second of all, I have no problem
Yes, I
answering
did.
that one. So that's
I
just going to come
literally
down to the level of like gratuitous evil
you
that
brought up the
exists in the
flood.
world.
Yeah, I said, why does God not exist? And then you brought up the flood, and then I
But
told
yeah,
you
that the Bible, because the Bible isn't true. You're appealing to the Bible, but the Bible isn't true. That's why I'm bringing up
Yeah,
the Bible.
because the Bible is like the main. You should know that the Bible is going to be the main premise of everybody's debate.
yeah,
for
but which
the
you
most
need to
part.
establish the truth of that.
That the Bible's not real.
Yeah, well, you need to establish that the Bible is real in order to appeal to it. So this explanation is only as likely as it is that the Bible is real. If the Bible isn't real, then this explanation actually doesn't help you.
I mean,
Mandrill, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
I guess it's a pretty reliable argument, but you still didn't answer my question, so we're just.
Well,
Still
I did
talking
answer
about,
you. Well, first of all, you never asked that question. Second of all, I have no problem answering that question.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
All
wait.
right,
I'll do
answer
something
it.
other than the problem of evil because
Answer
I've been
it.
problem of evil maxing too much. I'll say that God's properties are wholly incompatible with each other.
Okay. Can you do you think we make our own choices?
I'm a determinist, so I'm not really sure.
Like, what do you mean? It's a yes or no question.
I I don't really believe in like choice.
So you don't think if someone went out and killed someone, it wouldn't be their choice?
I think they did the
Like,
action, but I don't really believe in free will, so I'm not too sure if I
well, the
believe in
free
like
will,
choice.
free will kind of exists for people that don't even believe in God. But
Wait,
okay,
Timothy, I don't think you have the boots for this hike. I'm not sure that you're going to be able to
The
track the
boots for
arguments
this
related
hike.
to the free will discussion. I think you're
I mean,
probably better off just sticking to God.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, so do you want okay, I can run like a do you think God has free will?
Do I think God has free will?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And do you think that God knows everything?
Do I think God knows everything? Yeah.
Yep. So there's
I
a
know where this
contradiction
is
here.
going.
God can't know everything and also have the ability to change his mind. Basically, so let's go to the Exodus verse. It's the easiest
Changing
one.
your mind is like what?
Yeah, so
Go to the Exodus one.
so there's a verse in Exodus, like a
How does
story in
those two
Exodus.
things like correlate? You're
Oh,
gonna
I was
need
about to
read the
explain
verse,
it.
but-
Are you interested in hearing the
Yeah, I'm
explanation?
interested. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the explanation, let's go to the Exodus verse so we can like see a concrete example. There's a verse in Exodus, or a story rather, where the Israelites start worshiping false gods, and then God, fuming, mad as fuck, is like, I'm gonna kill them. I'm gonna strike them down. And Moses is like, please God, don't do that. And then God was like, fine. And it literally says the words, then God changed his mind. So this is not possible if you're omniscient, because either God knew that he was going to punish them, and then he changed his mind, and now his knowledge has changed, which means he did not know everything, or God did not know that he was going to punish them, in which case God is not all-knowing.
In which case, God is not unknowing because he changed his mind.
So did God know that he was going to punish them before, or he changed his mind? Oop.
Probably.
Okay. So then God knew something that was false.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, okay. So then God's not all-knowing. Perfect.
God's still all knowing. He knows.
So you think
Like-
you can be all-knowing even if you don't know everything?
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly. So then God's not all-knowing because he knew something that didn't happen.
Okay.
So God's not all-knowing. I'm glad we agree. So God doesn't exist just on that basis.
God's not unknowing because he.
Because if you're all-knowing, then that means your knowledge can't change. But his knowledge did change, so he's not all-knowing.
Okay. I don't know if it's implying that like he's exactly all knowing. Sometimes God uses like figure of speech and stuff.
Oh, so you think that God isn't actually all-knowing? He's all-knowing in like a metaphorical sense.
I don't know what that verse means exactly.
It says God changed his mind. What do you think that means?
Oh my goodness. Obviously he changed his mind, but I don't think the Bible contradicts itself there. I don't know how to like it's like I don't know how to answer the question. You're gonna
Yep, I know you don't.
It's a pretty dumb question though.
It's so dumb that you
like,
don't even have an
you can-
answer to it. That you can't
mean, you
fathom
can-
an answer to it. It's so
Yeah,
dumb
I
that it
cannot
literally
fathom an
disproves
answer,
your
yep.
God.
Yep. That God's not unknowing, so God does not exist.
Well, yeah, because so an all-knowing God does not exist. Certainly, your God does not exist.
Okay. Does that mean a God does exist? Is that what you're basically
No,
implying?
that
Or
means
you're
that
saying
so we have
nothing
all
exists?
these things. We have all these things that exist. And I don't take a stance on like for this conversation. I don't take a stance on like a generic God. But
Yep.
what we know falls outside of the circle of all the things that exist is your God. We know that your God doesn't exist.
Okay.
I'm glad we arrived at this conclusion together.
I still think it exists. It doesn't like change anything.
Yeah. So was there like a tracking issue with the argument, or
No, it's just kind of a.
it's just kind of a stupid argument? Yeah.
It's not stupid. It's kind of goofy because you can just look this stuff up and someone will probably explain it to you, and you probably just ignored the fact that you know the answer. Like you're a Christian. Well, you were a Christian. Like
Source, somebody else
I've been
could
in
beat
here
this
before,
argument.
and you literally have said, yeah, someone else could probably beat this
Yeah,
argument.
and then somebody else could. I could just, if you're gonna outsource your work to somebody else, then I could say somebody else could beat your somebody else.
Yeah, it's just an endless process, I guess.
Yeah, cool. But all we can evaluate is me and you at this level.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question for you.
All right.
Do you think God allows pegging in heaven?
Oh my goodness. Um, isn't pegging like kind of a sin in a way?
And what sin is pegging? Could you?
Isn't it like being gay?
No,
Or like-
no. Pegging is
Yeah.
often very straight
How?
because
so?
it's done. It can be done between a man and a woman.
Yeah, but just because you're what? Just because things aren't being done between a man and a woman doesn't mean a man's thought is not like of a gay man.
Wait, because I don't think the average man getting pegged is like, yeah, I'm so excited that my girlfriend gets to LARP as a man for a day. I just don't think that that's accurate. I don't think that properly maps on to the average man getting pegged.
It's probably a sin, so probably no.
Yeah, could
because
you show me what sin it is?
It doesn't say anywhere in the Bible, but my guess is, by everything I know, is that it's a sin because girls are made to be one way, and you want to change the way you are made, which God made you in His own image, so you are changing the way you are made. So
That's not changing the way you're made.
Be a sin.
That's just using technology. If God didn't want us to peg each
Oh my
other,
goodness.
why would He make us so intelligent and creative?
He made us learn.
Why would He? If God didn't want us to get pegged, why would He put the G spot there for men?
He knew, but we made our own choices.
Why would He enable us in that way? It seems like He kind of wants us
Because
to do
we
this.
made our own choices.
But why would He enable us in this way?
Because some of us won't do that.
Oh, but why would He like put incentive for some of us to do that?
He made one choice to save the life of some.
And in what way
rather-
does this save the life of people?
Because I just explained that it's most likely a sin because you're changing the image of your body. In a way.
Wait, but I'm asking you, why did He put the prostate there?
I just answered the question.
No, you
Because
didn't.
we made our own choices.
Wait, did God put it there or did we put it there?
We put it there. Why would
Wait. So
how would
humans
God
put the prostate
technology
there? Damn, I didn't realize Adam went that way.
No, we did. We made a choice in the future, like after the Bible, and we just made the little toy, and boom, it happened.
That sounds like word salad to me. So at what point
How is
did
it word salad?
it's gibberish? It's nonsense.
How we made it.
It's I think I could bring up
Okay.
literally any member of the audience, even like the most staunch
so-
Christian, and they would have no fucking clue the sentence you just said. But that's fine.
Okay, look.
let's wait
okay.
because I have a clarifying question.
I'm gonna break it down then.
Yeah.
So, do you? I don't even remember what I was gonna say because I was trying to get you to follow, but
That was you trying to get me to follow? Damn.
I was because I was like not following what I was. I was just trying to get you to stop talking so I could follow, so I could break it down for you. But now I forgot like instantly. Give me a second.
What?
Okay. Do you think we made toys that are made for sex?
Well, yeah, I certainly don't think they grow on trees. Yeah.
Exactly. So we chose for it to happen.
Yeah, but why would God incentivize us by putting the G spot in the rectum?
Because I just told you, God wanted to save some because I don't know. I said it earlier. I was like, he wanted to save some, but he knew he wanted to save most. I said something along those lines, something like that.
So, what do you think the question is, and how do you think that answers it?
What do you think the question is? The question is, do you think God gave us choices, which answers the question?
That
And you said
was
yes.
that was certainly not the question.
Well, the question was, do you think people made toys that are made for sex?
That wasn't
That's
the
what I said.
question either.
Yes, it was.
So
Oh
let's
my
try this again. Let's get
goodness.
the question. Let's hear the question for the third time, because that was not
I
the
said, do you
question.
think? Yes, it was. I literally said
You
toys
don't. Do you just
for
want the
sex.
question? Don't embarrass yourself.
Whoa, how?
Okay, so the question for the third time: why would God incentivize us to behave in this way by putting the G spot in the rectum?
I know I asked that. Like, he just doesn't listen. Like,
That
why would he
was
put
neither of the
G's?
questions that you repeated back to me. Just so you know.
It was. It really was. But you don't listen, so it's okay.
Do you
Okay,
think?
what?
Wait, do you think
Why
that you're
would
going to be
he-
able to gaslight people on what you said 5 seconds ago? Do you think that people
No,
don't
it's
remember
just
what you
you're
said
not
5
listening.
seconds ago? You
I-
You just didn't say that. Nobody heard you say that. You didn't say that. Why do you think people are
okay.
going to believe you?
Because I literally brought up pegging, and then I said, "Hey, do you think people made toys?" And then you said, "Yes, I do." Do you think they grow on trees in a smart aleck way? So therefore, I did ask that question. Because why else would you answer that way?
Wait, because so I think I'm of the theory, the hypothesis that to this moment you still don't know what the question is.
Oh my goodness!
Wait, could you repeat? Could you repeat back what the question was?
I said, "Do we make toys that are made for
But
sex?"
what was the question that I asked you?
I don't know because you never answered my question. Or you did answer my question.
You
but now
you
we're
do
just
know
in
the
circles
question.
because
Perfect.
we're
W
in circles
concession. You have
because
no idea
you
what the
think that
question
I
is.
didn't ask the question.
You're just not
I
listening.
Just asked. I mean, I'm not listening. That's crazy. All right.
Yeah, it's like kind of a.
How about this? How about this? You ask me a question, I'll answer, and then we'll just go from there.
Okay.
All right.
If God didn't want us to peg, why would he put the G spot in our rectum?
As far as I know, I mean, the G spot's only for boys, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, boys are only supposed to have that spot, right?
Well, I mean, women also have a
think-
G spot, but it's just elsewhere.
Yeah, it's in their vagina, but they aren't like supposed to like be lesbian.
Well, wait, but in your worldview, they are supposed to get penetrated, which is where their G spot is. So equivalently, if the G spot's supposed to incentivize that behavior, what would we infer based on the placement of the G spot inside the male anatomy? What would we infer of that?
Like, elaborate.
Yeah, so if the G spot exists in women in your worldview, presumably to incentivize like straight sex, what would we assume based on the placement of the men's G spot?
The placement of the men's. So where would it be at?
No, what would we? So it's placed in the rectum. What would we assume about God's intention behind placing it there?
For us to bond with flesh and make more, so we can.
And how does the
We're supposed
man's
to
G
become one
spot?
with flesh. It says it. So,
How does the
it's
man's G spot get activated by making more?
It doesn't, but when we have sex, it gets activated. So therefore, it flashes with flesh. So, yeah.
But why would God put it in the position that it is if He didn't want pegging to occur? Pegging, a sacred bond,
He may
very
not want something
often
to occur,
between a
but
man and a
doesn't-
woman. Why do you want to break apart the divine bond that God made between a man and a woman? Why do you want to take pegging
Because
away?
it was
I'll be
unintended for
pegging
God.
in the kingdom of God while you're doing missionary down in the land of Satan.
Actually, none of this will happen because in your eyes, this will not be real.
No, that's true. That part is true.
It
I'm
doesn't
surprised you
exist,
tracked
remember?
that. Yeah.
You remember? Yeah. You said it doesn't exist. I've been in here like many times. Not like in this chat talking with you. This is our first time talking, but
I'm aware.
I've seen your arguments. Yeah.
Do you have an answer to the question, or?
What was the question?
There's no this. Okay, you got to be trolling. What are the first 3 books of the Bible?
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and
Why the fuck are you not trolling? This is crazy.
what do you mean?
Do you have anything else? Otherwise, I think the Christians probably can't take it anymore.
The Christians can't take it anymore. I mean, I've asked questions if you not answered them as well.
Which question have you asked that I haven't answered?
I mean, I said something and then you answered it and then you said I didn't say it, so that's what I mean.
And do you think that that's a question? Do you think that's an example of a question not being answered?
You just said it wasn't. I mean, it doesn't. You just basically called me a liar.
And do you think that that's
Am
an
I
example
wrong?
of a question not being answered?
No, you just I mean, it basically doesn't exist. So therefore, I never asked the question in the first place. So yeah.
Gotcha. So you in fact cannot name. There is, if you look at the set of all questions that you've asked that I haven't answered, it would be empty. In other words, of all the questions you asked me, I've answered all of them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Numbers is the fourth book. My bad.
I only asked for the first three.
I told you the first three.
Yeah, no, that's fine, and you answered them correctly. I just think it's like really sad that you aren't a troll.
What do you mean? How did that line up?
I think
to what
that it would
said?
reflect better on humanity if you were just trolling.
I think it would have. I'm only one person of 8 billion people.
Do you have any more arguments, or should I move on to the next guest?
I asked you a question, so I mean,
What question did you ask me that I didn't answer?
I said how to what you just said.
How to what?
You said that I should be trolling.
Oh yeah, well I just think it's like really sad that this is like that you're serious right now and that this is what you have.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You've pretty much have stumped me a little bit, like on a few things, but it doesn't change me. It doesn't change that I still think God exists.
Okay. Let's do like an easy one.
Okay.
Why did God want slavery?
Why did God want slavery? We did.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Leviticus 25, 44 through 46, why did God want
This is go
slavery?
back. Okay. Do you think we make our own choices?
I've already answered this question.
Well, answer it again.
But so we're talking about your worldview. So what I think, in my personal opinion,
I'm talking about
is
in everybody's worldview.
unrelated to the question that I asked you.
So
The question I asked you is, why does God want slavery?
because we don't, he doesn't want it. We made our own choices.
Then if God doesn't want it, then why wouldn't he say, you shall not own slaves? But instead he said, you can totally own slaves. I'm A-okay with it. I have no problem with you owning slaves. Why would God choose to say, I think slavery is rad, when he could have said, there will be no slavery?
Because at this point, we make our own choices, like I just said. God has the 10 commandments and we don't follow them.
So what do you think my argument is, and how do you think that responds to it?
Your argument is that something about slavery and that I don't know what your argument is at this point.
So
You said something about slavery.
In Leviticus, I'm sorry, I should have clarified this. It was my bad to assume that you knew this. In Leviticus,
your
God
argument,
says, you can own slaves. I have no problem if you own slaves. The one and only restriction that I have for you, the one and only restriction I have for you about your slave ownership is that you may not own slaves. You can't own slaves. You can't own each other as slaves. You can't own Israelites. But you can own anybody else that you want to own. So why would God say that? Why would he do that?
Is that what God said?
That is what God said, yeah.
I don't think that's what God said. But
Do you want to read the verse? Let's read the verse
sure.
together. It's Leviticus 25, 44 through 46.
Okay.
If that is what God said, are you going to still think he's all good? Okay. Your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you and members of their clans born in your country, and they will become your property. You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property and can make them slaves for life, but you must not rule over your fellow Israelites ruthlessly. Why would God say that? That's kind of a
because it's not the same
idealism
idealism of slaves today.
So God did permit slavery.
He literally implies don't make them suffer. Like he basically says don't make them suffer and don't.
Wait, where does he say? Okay, but so my problem with certainly the suffering is like going to be a big problem that I have with slavery. But I think that it's going to be like, once again. I think it's going to be immoral regardless, even if you don't make your slaves suffer. I think that owning slaves at all, regardless of how you treat them, is pretty immoral. Do you disagree? Do you think that some forms of slavery are morally just?
I mean, do you think work is slavery?
Do you think? No, I don't.
You don't? Okay.
No.
Okay.
So I'll ask you again. Do you think some forms of slavery are justified?
No. Absolutely not.
Okay, cool. So you think it was unjust when God said that you can own slaves?
No. I mean, if it's true, I mean, I don't have to agree with everything God says.
So you know better than God?
No, I don't know better than God, but I don't have to agree with everything he says. But you just disagree with God
on this thing. Gotcha.
I'm just supposed to follow him. Me disagreeing does not make it right or wrong. It just makes me disagree. It's okay to disagree with God.
Well, it'd be okay because if you disagree with somebody, that's you saying I'm right and you're wrong. That's what disagreement is.
Yeah, but that doesn't make me.
So you're saying that God is wrong.
God.
So you know better than God.
Doesn't make me better than God. We disagree with God every day by sin.
Yeah, but do you have
it does not make us better with God.
Do you have faith that God was cooking with this one?
Do I have faith that God was cooking with this one? Bro, you're pretty funny. I should oh my goodness. I swear, every time I'm on the viewer standpoint of this, I don't laugh this much, but that was actually pretty funny.
Waka waka.
Alright, bro. You're a pretty cool guy.
Alright. Do you have anything else for me, or should I move on to the next guest?
Yeah, you can move on.
Alright, I appreciate you, Timothy. Sorry. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, all those good stuff. Make sure you're dropping a follow as well. If you want to support the stream, Venmo's allegedly-ian, and the Cash App is just allegedly-ian. What's up, Sid? How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How about you?
Doing well. How old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay. That's the same age as me, W.
Yeah.
What religion are you?
I'm a Christian.
Okay. So what's your strongest argument for the existence of God that does not involve personal experience?
No, I actually wanted to piggyback off of what you guys were talking about when it came to slavery. Yeah.
Yeah. So why would God say that slavery is chill?
Well, I don't think that he condones slavery against somebody's will.
That seems to not be true, right? I mean, from the verse that we read, it says, your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. I think that purchasing another human as property seems pretty against their will.
No, there's voluntary slavery. There's different types of slavery, though.
Do you think slaves for life is voluntary slavery, or is that more of the involuntary kind?
Do you think that somebody is able to sell themselves or should be able to do whatever they want with their own body, though, and sell themselves into slavery?
Well, insofar as I think slavery is bad, I don't think so. I think the immoral action is going to be the purchasing there, rather than if somebody wanted to sell themselves. I guess that's fine. But
I think
that doesn't mean that. Wait. So just because selling yourself into slavery, I don't find a moral issue with you personally going and selling yourself into slavery. I still would find a moral issue with somebody buying somebody as a slave.
Can you elaborate on why?
Let's say that somebody is a kind of a similar situation. Let's talk about prostitution for a second. Let's say somebody is they literally can't support themselves financially. They're about to be unhoused, and they go and do prostitution to prevent themselves from starving to death. I think that it's a fucked up circumstance that leads to something like this. I don't think that they've done anything immoral by doing that, by doing sex work or whatever. I do think that if you're taking advantage of somebody who's in that vulnerable position by like buying the services, I probably do take a moral issue with that.
So, like, if you were paying somebody else who was like better off, who had the money to do whatever they wanted to, if you were paying them to do, like, we'll just say like farming work, and they actually could make a living by themselves doing whatever they wanted to do. If somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, can I work for you? I'll give you the rights to my entire life, or you can own me for life."
I think if you accept that's immoral. I think that owning humans is immoral.
But like, I think what makes it immoral is if it was against their will. I think they have every right to do whatever they wanted to with their own body. But to say, like, let's say that I could not afford anybody else, or I couldn't, the only thing I had in my budget was amount to give them to save on the other guy who was going to do my farm work for me. Instead, I started paying them like it was a job, but it had to be ownership because you couldn't own any land in Israel if you weren't like an Israelite. Do you think that would be moral?
If you did what?
So like anybody who wasn't an Israelite back in these times, they couldn't own land. So how would they commute back and forth? Like, that's what I'm saying. That's why they were incorporated into households.
Okay, first of all, that's not what the verse is describing at all. It's talking about like ownership of these people. If you own these people, can they one day just say, "I'm leaving, bye-bye"?
No, because that's not selling yourself.
Yeah, perfect. So insofar as consent cannot be revoked, it's not actually consent. They're not consenting to be there.
You think that you can't consent to like...
So if it's not, you aren't consenting to be a slave, if you can't like take back that consent at a later time, it's non-consensual if you can't unconsent.
I get your point on that, but Leviticus 25, 44 through 46 never says it's supposed to be like against their will. I did want to point that out.
But it says slaves for life.
Yeah, but
it's not consent. So insofar as it's unconsensual, it's necessarily against their will.
It's not against their will, no, because like so Exodus 21:16 already says that you can't purchase somebody and make them a slave or sell them into slavery, or you're able to get the death penalty.
Oh, so wait, which one came first? Was it Exodus or Leviticus?
Exodus first.
Yeah, so then why? So if Exodus already says this, then it seems like Leviticus is updating this.
Yeah, so
I mean, otherwise you just have to affirm that the Bible is contradictory.
no, because did it say in Leviticus where it's supposed to be against their will? Does it say?
But the fact that they are slaves for life implies against their will. Typically, when we talk about slaves, that's going to imply that it's against their will. That this is owning other people as property.
Yes, owning somebody as property doesn't contradict against their will, because as I said before, there's voluntary slavery. You can volunteer yourself in slavery. We saw that in Russia back in the 40s where people tried to avoid the draft and stuff. You can sell yourself into slavery. It doesn't say it's against their will. The thing.
Oh wait. So 21:16 is about kidnapping. It's not about slavery.
No, that one says the
word it uses is literally kidnappers.
Yes, but what's the Greek word for it?
The Greek, yeah, we can look it up, I guess.
But I can try to find it, but
also because it's Exodus, it's going to be Hebrew.
Oh yeah, the Hebrew. Sorry, but like right after it says sell them into slavery, doesn't it? Even if it says kidnap, well, kidnapping is the taking of somebody, right? We can all agree to kidnapping.
Okay, so if you go back to the Hebrew, it says one who kidnaps another party.
Yeah, but does it?
So it's talking about
Israelites,
kidnapping,
or is this for anybody?
Okay, wait. So I'm not too sure what the context around this or like who specifically this applies to. But I mean, at best, even if this is like a prohibition on kidnapping, then that's still going to imply that there's a contradiction in the Bible.
The only way it would be a contradiction is if in Exodus 21:16 it says you can't kidnap anybody against their will, and then Leviticus 25:44 through 46 has to say you can go into other people's lands and take them against their will, but it never says those specific words.
So do you think slavery is voluntary?
I think there is a type of voluntary slavery, yeah.
Prove that this is the type of voluntary slavery.
Can you prove that it's not, though?
Yeah, because it says the word slave for life. It talks about ownership, legal ownership. Yeah, legal ownership is not the same thing as voluntary.
It can be like the legal ownership of somebody can be voluntary or not voluntary.
Oh, wait, prove it.
Can you prove that it's not though?
Yeah, can consent be revoked?
I could say like
Could if you're a slave and you say, I'm done, is that a thing that could happen? Could you be like, well,
no, because then
I'm leaving? Then
I
it's
don't
not
think anybody
voluntary.
would want to do that though. That's the point.
Wait, you don't think the slaves would want to not be slaves?
Because if they were to, let me elaborate on there because I know that sounds a little crazy, but I don't think anybody who, if you had to be an Israelite to own land there and you were there making money, because we see in the next verse that nobody ever wants to quote in Leviticus.
That's talking about
47.
other Israelites. That doesn't apply to the
No,
people from the nations
47.
around.
47 specifically talks about.
Yeah, about other Israelites. Not that's like a separate
We can
thing.
read it. I just don't have my
Yeah,
Bible. If
that's
you
fine.
wanna
I've already read
out.
it, but I'm telling you right now what it says.
No,
The
wait, I
indentured
know
servitude
44.
clause
Wait,
applies
we're agreeing
applies
on that part.
exclusively to other Israelites.
44 through
So
46,
we have
yes,
like brutal slavery for all the nations around, and then we have indentured servitude for other
Wait,
Israelites.
let me finish real quick because I think that we agree. We just don't know we agree. So 44 through 46, yes, it's talking about Israelites. 47 specifically says,
Wait, no, 44
foreigners
through 46 is not talking about Israelites.
or non-Israelites, yeah. But 47 talks about if a foreigner in your nation was to get rich. And a lot of biblical scholars actually talk about how this is where they would get paid while they were being servants. So they were able to own Israelites as slaves too later on.
Because so if there's more slavery, then that makes it okay.
No, that's saying that since Israelites could own Hebrew slaves or heathens or however you want to say it, because they were so out of money that they were able to pay those people, and then in return, if an Israelite was out of money too, that this was a way to circular help everybody who was dealing with a lot of poverty and drought.
Gotcha. So it was like slavery for a cause.
Can you name why this specific voluntary slavery is bad?
Why? Wait, because this is not voluntary. Wait, so what's described as
is
in later
voluntary
verses
slavery,
is
because
indentured servitude. Also, wait, so the fact that it talks about foreigners residing among you would probably seem to me to be a good indication that foreigners actually could own land in Israel. I'm not sure how
No,
they're
they
residing
could.
among
You
them
could look
if
it up.
that's not the case.
Point. That's the point.
Wait, source it.
I would have to get off the app. No.
Yeah,
But
go
that's the
for it.
point.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's see the source.
We'll just go ahead and conclude though. Before I
Wait,
look
wait,
at
wait,
the
wait,
source that-
whoa. Wait. We're not going to conclude anything. You're going to give me the source or
No,
you're
I'm
going to
saying
concede.
that I can go get the source.
Yeah,
no
go get the
problem.
source then.
But if I get the source, it'll show you that you would have to have land in Israel. If not, meaning those people were slaves under other people. That's what I'm trying to say. So if I get the source for you,
Yeah,
that
go
would
get the
conclude
source.
that point.
Yeah, let's see it. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen while we wait for the source. Let's get all the way up to, I don't know, call it 60K likes. If all of you left 20 likes right now, we would already be there. That would be awesome. Just keep on double tapping that screen on up. Sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. Make sure you're dropping a follow. Appreciate that, Maxime. If you are 18 or older and you want to join the community, there's a link to the Discord in my bio. I would love to see you there. If you want to support the stream, Venmo is allegedly-ian and the Cash App is just allegedly.ian. I appreciate it. JJ, thank you so much. If you want access to the sick emotes that you might or may not be seeing in chat, you can subscribe. I think we have like 3 subscription tiers. I'm pretty sure it's like cool Corey, great Grant, and then maybe like magnificent Magdalene. I don't know. I made it like a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, you also get a role in the Discord, which is pretty sweet. Thank you so much, Plant Emoji. Appreciate that. But yeah, keep on double tapping. We almost made it to the 60K. That's pretty rad. The Discord link is discord.gg/allegedly.ian as well. Maxine, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Sid, do you have the source?
I'm actively trying to find it, I promise. But I can step down and you could let me back up. But I just want to make a point that when I do find this, it's going to make more sense that Israel was the promised land for the Israelites, right? Why
Not
would
sure how that
God?
justifies slavery.
No, I'm saying why would God allow other people to reside in a place that was the promised land?
Dexter, thank you so much for the $5 on for the 5-cent subscriptions. Welcome to the community, everyone who received it. Appreciate it, Dexter. W
But I'll
Dexter in the
step down
comment
and I'll
section.
even type it in the comments if
Wait,
you
wait,
want me
wait. I
to.
don't know. Wait, so why is God xenophobic?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, so if God's saying that only like one specific group of people should live in like one specific land, why is God xenophobic?
So it's easier to say, oh, well, he's xenophobic because of this whenever you're looking at it at an outside angle. But we're saying that if there wasn't a promised land, how would you know that Jesus would come perfectly?
But why can there not be a promised land that just includes like a good number of people? Why
That's
does
the
God
point.
believe in like racial
Just because we
like
don't know
racial
the answer
unity?
doesn't mean that this wasn't the best choice that God saw.
Gotcha. So you have no idea why God would be xenophobic, but you trust that it was a good choice.
No, it's that it makes more sense of once you actually try to break it down. That says like, I don't know more than God. Maybe there was other option, or maybe there was other. There was no other choice other than those things that would work out perfectly for the coming of Jesus.
No, because I think that like xenophobia is like obviously on face pretty wrong. Which means like even if God knows like infinitely more about this than I do, that doesn't mean that my intuitions are literally worthless, like completely useless. So even if for example, there's somebody who's like an infinitely better cook than I am, if they start like taking a shit in the souffle, I'm probably like well within my right to assume that they're doing something wrong, even if they know infinitely more than I do about the topic.
Yeah, but you would have to tell me that more people didn't benefit of gaining eternal life through Jesus that way.
But there's no reason why. So in your worldview, there's no reason why Jesus couldn't have come back, just with like a wide, diverse group of people there. So I mean, why does God hate diversity?
No, like, are you talking about specifically for when?
Well, because so I mean, you're just claiming that like God, that foreigners couldn't like God didn't want foreigners living there. Plant emoji. Thank you so much for the subscription. Welcome to the community. Appreciate you being here.
Do you
Because
ever
your
think
argument is
that?
essentially just that like God didn't want foreigners in this land, and I'm telling you that that's like pretty xenophobic. So
No, I'm saying that. Let's just say yes. So he allowed foreigners to own land, and then there were millions of foreigners all over that land. Would it still be Israel's land? And would
yeah,
its
wait, why
strength be
not?
from?
Sure.
Well,
Well, I
let's
mean,
say
well,
they
I don't
all
really
took
understand
over
this like idea
Israel.
of like a racial group owning a land. That seems pretty
No, I'm
weird to
saying
me. Do you
let's
think? Wait, do you
imagine.
think? Do you think racial groups can own plots of land?
No, well,
Perfect.
no.
So then, in what way could this be
No, I'm
like
saying
Israel's
if
land?
no, because there were the Gentiles. So we'll say that Gentiles were able to own Israelite land. How do you know that the Gentiles wouldn't say, actually, we want to fight for this land, and then they abolish everything Israelite, and Jesus wouldn't have came, and then therefore nobody gets eternal
You
life?
could literally make this argument about like any racial group coming to any country. Like this justifies like segregation and racism like universally.
No, because they were allowed in their land. It wasn't like, oh, you have like you're just like less than me. They just weren't able to own land because of that, or it could have been because of that. You don't know. The fact that you think that you know, though, but you don't.
Well, yeah, but so my moral intuitions tell me that things like racism is going to be bad. That
Yeah.
racism's bad actually. And my moral intuitions, even if there's a being who knows infinitely more than I do about what's good and what's bad, that doesn't mean that my moral intuitions are going to be like worthless and nonsensical.
Yeah, but where does it show that they are less than people? Like,
Because they can't buy land, like they can't live in this
okay,
area under
but do
your
you know
view.
how
Which
they
which Sid, by the way, you still have to prove. You haven't proven that.
Yeah, but I can go ahead and finish out this specific conversation because I think you just lost.
Well, wait, because you need to concede the point. If you don't have the source, then you need to concede the point.
No,
So
because
you
you
need
just
to
made a
wait.
point and then
So
you're
there's
not wanting my
two things.
rebuttal.
Either you provide the source for the claim, or I don't believe it. So which of these two
No,
things?
the source I need to. So,
All right. Well, if you don't have a
you wrote
source,
me
then I'll
down, I
probably just move on
promise
to the
I'll put
next
it in the
guest.
comments, bro.
All right. Well, make sure you double tap it on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. Make sure you drop a follow as well if you never want to miss a debate in the future. As we go on to the very next guest. Do all that good stuff. If you want to support the stream, Venmo's allegedly
I'll
-ian.
kick your fucking ass, you fucking
You sound
gay
like
bastard.
13. I think that that's like
You're
implausible.
gay. You're fucking gay, piece of
That's not very demure of you. That's not very cutesy of you. Okay, that's not very elegant of you. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen though. Yeah, not demure indeed. Hey, what's up? How's it going, Bee Hunter?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing well. How old are you?
I'm old enough.
Okay, yeah. And what religion are you?
I'm Christian.
Okay, so what's your strongest argument for the existence of God that does not involve personal experience?
Well, I wanted to talk about like the topic of slavery that you're just talking to her about.
Yeah, so if God's all good, why would he say that slavery is chill?
Well, I think at this time it was a lot more willing bond servant, like indentured servant type
Prove it.
service. Well, if you go back to Genesis, the Egyptians became into slavery to the Israelites became into slavery to the Egyptians because there's a famine. And so they said, we can't do nothing with our money. And so the Egyptians, they had prepared for the famine. Joseph was the governor at the time of Egypt, which was one of the sons of Jacob. And they entered themselves into slavery, or to be an indentured servant to the Egyptians.
Wait, so can you distinguish indentured servitude from slavery for me?
Well, so the indentured servants are bond servants. The Bible says bond servant.
Well, yeah, because bondservant translates either to serf or to slave. Serfs didn't exist because feudalism hasn't been invented. So if it either means serf or slave, and it doesn't mean serf, then it means slave.
Okay, well, if you want to call it slavery, the Israelites, they willingly entered into a slave agreement with the Egyptians.
Well, I'm just talking about the Leviticus verse. So could you differentiate between indentured servitude and slavery for me?
It's built on that, and that's why there was rules and laws on how to treat a bond servant.
That doesn't mean that it's not still slavery. You can have rules and laws, like in England, you could own like other English people as slaves, and there was like regulations about how you could and couldn't treat them, but they were still slaves.
I know, but it's what I'm saying. But
also, wait, because you're not answering the question still. Could you give me a definition of indentured servant, or do you want me to explain to you what it means?
It's somebody that enters into, like, they're promising their services for food, shelter, and protection.
No, it's specifically somebody who does this for the sake of like paying off a specific debt.
Okay, so why would the Israelites choose to do that at a time of famine?
Well, wait, I mean, so the Israelites were considered slaves as well, to be clear.
I know, but they willingly entered into it. If you read Genesis, at the end of Genesis, they willingly entered into that agreement with the Egyptians.
Probably because it's preferable to death? I don't know. It seems likely.
No, it's because there was a famine, and no matter
it's preferable to be like enslaved than to die in their view, I would assume.
Well, you see, that's where I think you're avoiding, like you're trying not to acknowledge what happened and why.
What do you?
Those types of agreements at that time.
I think you're a bit confused. So
No.
could you wait? Because I'm not talking about Exodus or Genesis. I'm talking about Leviticus. So what's your evidence that the slavery in Leviticus was not chattel slavery?
Because there's, prior to that, the culture at the time, I mean, it's a tough time period. Every farm at that time, like every person, like you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing right now in that time period because there's not modern technology, right? Everybody.
What a profound statement. It gets the argument.
That's not against the argument, because it's like
I know it's not against the argument. Get to the argument.
Every day was life or death for those people, right? Every day was a life or death fight.
Yeah, probably especially after God ordered the slaughter of the Canaanites who lived around there.
The Canaanites that were sacrificing babies on
Yeah, and what did God command be done to the Canaanite babies?
Well, the Canaanites were engaged
What
in
did God command be done to the Canaanite babies?
What? Okay, so the Canaanites were engaged in bestiality.
And what did God command be done to the Canaanite beasts? Like what did they command be done to the Canaanite babies? Answer the question.
He ordered everything to be killed.
Yeah, so for the crime of killing their babies, God ordered the Israelites to kill their babies.
Okay, in 2020, what happened when a bat transferred a virus to people?
Are we really pivoting? What a crazy, what an insane pivot. What an unbelievable pivot. That's crazy.
Bestiality, that type of stuff, it infects the herds, it infects the animals. It's like you can watch when they control nature up here. Like we have tuberculosis breaking out in animals. There's all kinds of diseases if they get too close to other animals that break out in animals. That's exactly what was going on at the time of the Canaanites. That's why they're...
Could God have solved that without any child slaughter?
I don't know.
So did God have the power to solve this without child slaughter?
God is working through his creation.
But does he have the power to stop this without taking the lives of children?
Well, we're going off to a different subject. We're talking about...
Wait, but I just want to know if God had the power to stop this without taking the lives of kids. Because if he didn't need to take the lives of children, but he took the lives of children, that seems pretty evil to me.
So, in Genesis, prior to the flood, God didn't interact with the creation at all, and it totally destroyed itself. Like, it corrupted all the flesh on the earth. It wasn't until 2,000 years later that he started... Like the penalty, God started interacting 2,000 years after, like what transpired from Genesis. And
whoa, Kat! Thank you so much for the perfect. Appreciate that. W Kat in the comment section. That's rad as fuck.
Anyways.
Yeah, please continue. Go for it.
I believe he was just acting in a way that was trying to preserve the creation from going down the same hole it did in Genesis.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, say that one more time.
He started acting more out in like Exodus, and I believe that he did it to try to preserve, to keep from happening what happened in Genesis happening after the flood.
What? So why couldn't he have just like spared the kids and then made them like set them on the right track?
You know, we may never know.
Well, it seems like killing them certainly was the wrong answer.
You don't know that.
I do know that killing kids is bad, actually. That's going to be true under everyone's morality. I know that if you genocide children, you're a moral monster.
You know, if he did it to protect everybody else, that's what he had to do to protect everybody else.
Protect them from what? They were kids. They were babies.
Well, you don't know you have no foresight of what they would have grown up to be.
So, but maybe God could have set them on the right track.
We don't know what's going on there, so it's like wrong for you to say anything else.
Well, I think it's wrong to kill babies.
Okay, you made that point, but I don't know why he set that precedent. I'm going to say he set it because he was protecting the rest of the world.
From the babies? From the infants?
Well, those infants grow up into people. Adolf Hitler was a baby.
So let's kill all the babies then.
No. There's a lot of good people out there.
So maybe he could have just said, and kill this one specific baby who will be evil. But he didn't say kill this one specific baby who would be evil. He said all of them. You know, each and every one of them.
It talks about the corruption of the flesh in Genesis. It talks about like the fallen angels corrupting the DNA. You don't know that that's what he might have been protecting us from. There could have been, it says also after the flood that there was corrupt flesh.
Yeah, so why does that justify like the killing of kids?
You don't know if that was in the Canaanite line. You don't know that there could have been.
Did he have the power to uncorrupt the flesh?
He did, and he ordered the Israelites to weed it out.
To weed it out? Wait. He didn't, but that's not like taking the corruption out of the flesh. That's killing them.
I don't.
That's like saying like I solved this cure of the common cold. All it took was me like sticking the Beretta against their temple.
Okay. The point is we don't know. I'm gonna say he did it because he is protecting for a future outcome.
That just seems implausible. I think that killing kids is always going to be wrong.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
How many kids would God need to kill before you start suspecting that he's not all good?
There's I like how you're so adamant about this, but there's organizations out there. I mean, you're probably like a pro-choicer, and
True, based. I'm pro-sentience, but yeah.
And there's a lot to be said about that, right? So that organization unalives more children than God ever did.
Oh, that's not true though. Wait, because if you're a pro-lifer, for every child that gets born, there's 3 zygotes that don't make it. There's like a 70% failure rate. So you're actually shackled to the belief that God has unalived 350 billion children just by failure to implant, like through like miscarriages and stillbirths. So why, like, God's killed way more than that organization has, but of course I don't even grant that organization is like killing.
I know you don't like claim it. We're modernized. We've moved past the point that could be taking a life or unaliving somebody.
Yeah. So but why would God unalive so many? 350 billion is 350 billion.
350 billion what?
It was, in your view, this would be like 350 billion babies
that God's responsible for.
Yeah. Who's responsible for miscarriages?
We don't know.
So actually we do, because there's an Exodus verse that says that God is responsible for all the disabilities that people have, and most miscarriages occur because of either a hyperactive immune system, which God would be responsible for, or a chromosomal disorder, which God would be responsible for.
How do you know that we didn't corrupt ourselves?
Because there's a verse in Exodus that says that God is responsible for disabilities. It's 4:11.
Exodus 4, he says he's responsible for everything.
Well, he's responsible for disabilities, yeah.
Well, God also says that, so there's good and evil. God created good and evil. And it's like, if he didn't create an environment where we could experience all things, then I don't believe that we could truly make an informed choice of choosing him.
Do you think kids go to, or do you think like babies who are unalived go to heaven?
I do. Yeah.
Do you think that they got to make an informed choice? We're choosing him.
I believe the gift to create life was given to us by God, and if he takes that gift away, that's his decision to make.
Oh, so God could create and then kill infinite babies, and you would think that that's not like incompatible with his. So wait, I just want to be clear that I understand your view correctly. So the universe could be the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, like trick-shotting babies into an incinerator, and you would still think that they're all good.
If God's taken that gift back, that's God taking his gift back.
So, to be clear, so in the incinerator scenario, where the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are like trick-shotting infants into an incinerator, playing like a game of like infant incinerator basketball for all of eternity, in this scenario, you would think that they're all good.
What makes you think he's putting them in an incinerator?
But I'm just saying that if that was the universe, if this is what God was getting up to in heaven, you would think that they were still all good.
I don't follow the point that you're trying to make there.
Because you think that God's never wrong for killing anybody ever.
I think God has purpose for everything he does, and he's not like the rest of the world that tries to hide what they do. He tells you exactly what he does, and he has just reason to do what he does.
No, because he does hide. He at least hides why he does it. Like there's plenty of hiding going on, plenty of like obfuscation. Because we don't know his reasons. He does like obviously immoral things, and then you get to hide behind, well, we don't know, man. I'm not God.
Yeah, well, people today, they just don't tell you they're going to do it, and they do it anyway, and then they hide from it.
Yeah, but God's not like my deadbeat dad. God is God, right? Like, God should be the moral pinnacle, but instead he's killing kids.
It's people that are killing kids.
No, because God is responsible for each and every zygote that fails to implant and is like miscarried.
Oh, it's so there's well, I believe that out of all those types of situations, it says all things work together for good, and whether we experience vulnerabilities or mishaps, I believe that it brings people together. It's kind of like in a natural disaster type scenario, that is a bad situation. But if you are out there and you and I have two totally different points of view, I would still come out there and help you if you were struggling.
That's very nice, but this isn't going to be able to account for miscarriages because most miscarriages happen before 6 months or before 6 weeks, i.e., most miscarriages happen before the person even knows they're pregnant. Most miscarriages happen without people even knowing that there's been a miscarriage that's occurred.
There's proof that there's all types of pollutants in our environment, like nutrient deficiencies. There's all these things that can add up to a miscarriage. So it's not necessarily God doing all that stuff. It could be something that we're missing. It's kind of like back in the early 1900s, people started getting sick, like out of control, like when the Spanish flu went through, and they associated that with when they come out with the white bread, like they took out all of the nutrients in it. And so that's why the government stepped in and said that you had to fortify that, is because that's what ultimately was causing a lot of the diseases to run rampant, is because it was vitamin deficiencies. And you can look at like some of the stuff that's on the shelves and the chemicals that they put in processed foods. I mean, regardless, there could be a string of things that we are doing to cause those problems.
Prove it. Prove that it's causing this at like this high of a rate, because it's literally like 70. It's like 70%.
70% what?
Yeah, 70% of like zygotes are miscarried.
So you don't think that any nutrient deficiencies or toxins or chemicals in our environment could cause?
No, because the main causes of miscarriage are, one, chromosomal disorders, and two, like hyperactive immune systems. So no, these things seem to be utterly unrelated to or like I'm sure that there are some miscarriages that do happen because of like some sorts of deficiencies, but the vast majority don't.
How do you know that the hyperactive immune system isn't something of how they're taking care of themselves?
Because it's like a super common like problem among like lots of people that's genetic, not based on like how many nutrients you're getting.
I don't know. There's a lot of people that are curing a lot of incurable diseases with just diet nowadays. So
that sounds like mumbo jumbo to me.
I feel like we've been misled a little bit.
Well, I think that you probably enjoy the sound of like gibberish, and I like empirical studies. So I think we would probably just be talking past each other on this issue.
So Jordan Peterson and his daughter both have autoimmune deficiencies.
Oh no! Don't do this to me.
That's a study. That's a scientific. Well, that's a proven deal from them that they changed serious health issues with just diet.
Can I like read the study? Is there a study out there that I could read? Because it seems like Jordan Peterson has some pretty big health issues.
He did have big health issues, but he doesn't anymore.
He's like addicted to benzos.
I don't know. What...
You don't know that Jordan Peterson is addicted to benzos?
Well, I know his daughter's not. I don't know. I didn't know he's addicted to benzos.
That's a fun fact for you.
Okay.
Yeah, the person who lectures other people about like cleaning up their room before going out there and changing the world got addicted. Oh, that's right. I probably shouldn't say specific
Did he come
names.
out publicly and tell people that?
Hmm?
Did he come out publicly and tell people that?
Yeah.
When did he do that?
I mean, you can just like look it up.
Mm.
If you want to, I can get you a source if you want, because I hate it when people tell me to just go look it up.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson.
Regardless whether he is or not, he had some severe health issues prior to that, and he's helped a lot of his issues by just dietary changes, which there's a number of other people that have done the same thing.
Yeah, that's fine. I just don't know what that has to do with miscarriages. But do you have anything else for me, or should I move on to the next guest?
Could be leading a lot to those things.
Well, I would just need like proof of that.
Yeah. You need... Okay. Well, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on up here. Thanks so much. Yeah, make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, all those good things. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit out of it, so I'm probably gonna end stream. Sorry, it was like such a brief early stream, but I'd implore all of you to come and join the Discord. There's a link to the Discord in my bio, but other than that, we're gonna go raid Dean. Dean's live on It's Dean with 2 A's and 2 N's. But I love all